Dear cherished one, listen closely if you believe in God. Say Amen. This is a vital message for you today that's worth your attention. Don't dismiss it. Focus on this message. This is the voice of the Lord your God. This isn't about pressure, it's about presence. What's happening now isn't coincidental. It's not a diversion. It's not something to swiftly scroll past and forget. It's a moment, a sacred pause in your day where heaven gently nudges closer and says, I've been trying to connect with you. Not because you're in trouble, not because you've fallen short, but because something wonderful is lining up, and your heart deserves to be ready, not taken aback. You are not late. You haven't missed your opportunity. But sometimes the world's noise makes it easy to miss the divine's gentle whispers. And right now, God isn't shouting. He's simply waiting, arms open, spirit overflowing with grace for you to pause just for a moment and sense what's being offered. Clarity, alignment, renewal. You might not notice it, but heaven has been placing subtle signs on your path. Signals, feelings, time adjustments, all working together to open up space in your soul. The reason things have felt different or slowed down isn't punishment. It's preparation. There's something novel on its way, and it's not noisy. It's not swathed in drama. It's wrapped in tranquility, and that's why this instance is significant. Not because of a countdown, but because something divine is unfolding, and your spirit has already begun to sense it before your mind could label it. You've been sensing change, a quiet transformation, an inner softening. And that's not God forcing a breakthrough, but delicately opening the path to it. God says, I've been trying to talk to you not through fear, but through calmness. I don't want to hurry you. I want to remind you, you are noticed. You are essential. You are cherished in ways that no one else may fully comprehend. But I do. I see every thought you've kept secret, every prayer you murmured quietly, every time you chose peace when disorder would have been simpler. And now I want to offer you something in exchange. Divine timing, peace that doesn't require an explanation, and a new chapter that doesn't start in suffering but in promise. This moment indeed, this precise one, is not demanding action. It's inviting focus. Not everything spiritual arrives with urgency. Some of the holiest moments arrive softly, asking only for your awareness. The reason you're here is, reading this, feeling this, is because your spirit is ready. Ready for what's next. Ready to let go of the anxiety of missing out. Ready to stop chasing things that don't respect your light. You don't have to pursue what is divinely yours. You only need to be present when it appears. You weren't here by chance. You didn't stumble upon this. Heaven operates in layers, and right now one of those layers is lifting. Something you've been asking for is unraveling behind the scenes. And this moment was meant to realign your heart with optimism. Not blind optimism, but sacred, steady optimism. The kind that says, I don't know how, but I trust that what's coming is for me. And that trust, even if it's quiet, is what unlocks the very thing you thought you had to struggle for. Archangel Michael stands with you now, not to scare, but to testify, to remind you that divine timing is not delayed timing. It's designed timing. Your name is not misplaced in the heavens. Your voice is not disregarded. Type 222 to claim it. And the opportunity that belongs to you is not being withheld. It's being prepared to arrive when your spirit can truly embrace it. This is not about haste. This is about alignment. You're not late. You're perfectly on schedule, and time is adjusting to greet you in this significant unveiling. Once your heart genuinely opens, not due to fear, but out of peaceful trust, things start moving around you without tension. You first notice it in the minor details. A discussion that once caused anxiety now feels natural. A scenario that once required your management no longer depletes your energy. And even your own thoughts, which once revolved around what's lacking, begin to transition towards gratitude for what's present. That's not a coincidence. That's synchronicity. When your spirit finally stops clinging to results, God begins providing what you need along the path you're already treading. You no longer need to run at top speed. You no longer need to strive. You don't have to chase love, clarity, or guidance. You merely become receptive to receiving it. God states, this is where I demonstrate what I can accomplish with your surrender. You've tried it your way. You've carried things alone. You felt the burden of questioning when, how, or if it would ever happen. But now I get to guide. Not because you surrendered, but because you finally handed it over. And what I have for you is waiting to be revealed. doesn't arrive to challenge your tranquility. It arrives to safeguard it. There is something attractive about becoming unwavering. Not because everything is flawless, but because nothing inside you is panicking anymore. And that's where you are right now. The inner turmoil has subsided. You're no longer awaiting external approval to think things are functioning. You can sense it in the way your breath flows deeper, in the way your soul feels more stable. This is what occurs when divine timing begins to engage. You stop questioning when and start murmuring thank you even before the blessing arrives. Because the blessing is no longer just about what appears. The blessing is what you've become. Calm, prepared, clear, whole. Archangel Michael keeps a watchful eye not to interfere but to observe your transformation. Where you once wrestled with silence, you now dwell in it. Where you once required signs daily, now you just feel peace. You've spiritually evolved, and that's the part no one perceives, but heaven does. And that's why the energy surrounding you is changing. The people entering your life now won't reflect your past pain. They'll acknowledge your current resilience. What's coming next won't resemble what you've endured. It will feel like what you've hoped for. For this, divine harmony operates subtly, organically, without disorder. You don't have to coax it to appear. Instead, you need to identify when it emerges. And it's appearing through secure conversations, through chances that don't require your spirit as a price, through stillness that finally feels complete, not lonely. God isn't pushing you into a moment. He's guiding you into a new rhythm, one where you no longer grind for love, approval, or clarity. You walk in with it already planted within you. There is a distinct energy that enters your life when something is truly harmonized. It doesn't come with pressure. It doesn't demand haste. It doesn't make you feel insignificant just to be near it. Instead, it infuses peace into the atmosphere. It makes your shoulders relax. It quiets your racing thoughts. It brings a stillness to your heart that nothing else could reach. That's how divine harmony communicates, not through loudness but through resonance. Type God is good if you love God. And now, because your heart is finally calm enough to perceive it, you'll start to sense it when it appears. Not everything that seems good is harmonized, but what's harmonized will feel authentic. It will feel effortless. It will feel familiar, even in unfamiliar situations. Rooms, God says, you don't have to overthink what I send. I won't create chaos and call it bonding. I won't put you in places where your soul has to contract to fit in. What I send is always linked to your tranquility, and if your peace needs to vanish to keep it, it wasn't from me. There is a wisdom arising in you now. You're no longer guided by necessity, but by awareness. You no longer ask, is this adequate for me? You ask, is this in line with who I am becoming? That's the change. That's the development. And that's where your greatest blessings will start to unfold. Not in moments that are flashy or boisterous, but in moments that feel secure, straightforward, and filled with honesty. You'll discover that some people won't comprehend this version of you. They won't understand why you no longer chase, why you no longer plead for recognition, why you no longer force conversations that don't nourish your peace. But that's all right. You didn't journey this far to justify your alignment. You came to embody it. Archangel Michael says, you've entered a phase where your sensitivity is your power. You once saw it as vulnerability. When someone's vibe changed, you could feel it when something didn't seem authentic, even if it sounded convincing. But that wasn't a sign of weakness. It was divine protection. That was heaven's method to prepare your soul for genuine love, peace, purpose. Now your ability is activated. Now your discernment is sharp. And now what you pick will reflect healing, not pain. Everything you've experienced has led up to this moment. You no longer act out of fear of loneliness. You move from a fullness that doesn't settle. You no longer rush into doors. You wait for the one with harmony. Therefore, the things entering your life now are different. They won't demand proof. They will see you. They won't hurry your pace. They will respect it. They won't disturb your peace. They will flourish within it. That's what divine alignment does. It doesn't appear when you're pushing hard. It shows up when you're prepared. And dear one, you are ready now. There were times when you inquired, why not yet? Moments when your heart questioned, for how much longer? Yet everything seemed delayed. Like your requests hung in stillness. Like heaven understood you needed patience. Prepared, but the world remained unmoving. However, what you didn't witness, what you couldn't perceive, is that the delay wasn't rejection. It was planning. God wasn't hiding things from you. He was equipping you to accept what you were hoping for without it overwhelming you. And more than that, he was shielding you from what seemed right but wasn't appropriate. There were people, paths, and promises you would have accepted earlier, not because they were genuine, but because your heart was weary. And heaven cherished you too much to let you settle for worn-out love. That's why the burden was sacred, not wasted. God says, I wasn't keeping you waiting as a punishment. I was granting you time to remember who you are, to rejuvenate your spirit, to hear my voice above the chatter. I wasn't withholding, I was polishing. Because what I provide for you, I want you to preserve. And sometimes that means eliminating what would contend with the blessing before it even arrives. You had to grow strong enough to resist what once appealed to you, gentle enough to receive love without doubting it, whole enough to enter rooms without feeling small. Type 1111 if you love God Jesus. The burden shaped that version of you. Now that version is moving forward with precision. You may not have noticed it, but during that waiting period, your judgment got more refined. Your boundaries became more compassionate. Your connection with yourself grew stronger. And now when something or someone enters your domain, you don't just question, do I want this? You ask, is this beneficial for my spirit? That's not a delay, that's development. And it had to occur first. Archangel Michael says, not every delay is apparent. Some delays happen in the soul. The kind where healing requires time to take root. The kind where your emotional foundation is being rebuilt so it can support what's ahead. You're not the same person who started the journey. You no longer view waiting as punishment. You see it as preparation. And that's the shift that makes all the difference. Not because the world outside has changed, but because your awareness inside has. You can recognize divine timing now, not by how quickly something happens, but by how calm you feel when it does. That's spiritual maturity, and you've achieved it. What's coming will feel serene, not rushed. It won't arrive when you're desperate. It will arrive when you're balanced. You'll know it by how your soul reacts, not with excitement, by yourself, yet effortlessly. And when you eventually grasp what was once merely imagined, it will feel appropriate. Not because it's flawless, but because you're prepared. That's the benefit of patience. Not simply what appears, but who you've evolved into while waiting. There is something indisputably unique about the way compatible love enters your life. It doesn't storm in noisily, seeking attention. It doesn't stir up turmoil to get noticed. It doesn't require you to prove yourself or figure out where you stand. Instead, it moves calmly, steadily, gently. It feels like peace walking in without an apology. It feels like comprehension without needing to over-explain. Compatible love understands your language before you even teach it. And when it arrives, you don't have to pursue it. You only have to recognize it. Because this kind of love doesn't plead to be retained. It's designed to last. God says, the love I send into your life will not resemble what hurt you. It will value what healed you. It won't reflect your trauma. It will acknowledge your growth. It won't approach to challenge your identity. It will see it, respect it, and rise to match it. That's the love you were always destined for but couldn't fully receive until you grew into it. And tire without it. Now that you have, it's time. When aligned individuals start appearing, it feels strange at first, not because they're distant, but because they're tranquil. And when you're accustomed to being around unpredictable or conditional energy, peace can feel alien. But don't confuse gentleness with shallowness. These new connections, romantic or otherwise, won't aim to impress you. They'll simply comprehend you, and it will catch you off guard how effortless it feels. Not because life all of a sudden becomes flawless, but because your spirit no longer has to struggle to be noticed. Archangel Michael says, the ones entering your life now aren't coming to mend you. They're coming because you already found your core. Their presence won't fill a void. It will amplify your completeness. These are people who have also navigated through hardships, who have also waited, and who now appreciate the worth of a genuine, quiet spiritual connection. You'll sense it in their energy, in the way they listen, in the way they don't rush to take, but offer time, truth, patience. That's the charm of alignment. It doesn't just bring people. It brings reflections of who you've evolved into. You're no longer a fit for instability. Type 777 if you believe in God, Jesus. You're no longer open for inconsistency. For what drains, you no longer find comfort in the familiar turmoil of unstable relationships. Now you're attracted to peace, to stability, to truth. You desire something sacred, not superficial. Something that provides space, not just hands. And what's beautiful is that's exactly what's being directed your way. Not by chance, but by divine plan. You'll know it's aligned not by how rapidly it starts, but by how profoundly it settles. You'll recognize it in the way your nervous system relaxes when they enter the room. You'll feel it in the conversations that don't exhaust you. They energize you. You'll understand you're no longer acting, you're just being, and being is finally sufficient. That's when you'll smile and say to yourself, so this is what it was all for. All the waiting, all the healing, all the lessons, they led you here to the kind of connection that doesn't complete you, but enhances your already whole soul. Divine timing doesn't always make noise when it arrives. Sometimes it settles in like sunlight through. A window, gentle, steady, unmistakable. You may not even realize it at first because when you've spent years struggling, surviving, or searching, peace can feel alien, but then small signs begin to emerge. You awaken. One morning and the burden you've borne for so long is absent. You engage with someone and the former you who felt compelled to justify or prove remains silent, centered, complete. That's no fluke. That's synchronization. That's the gentle emergence of divine timing, not through sensational events that astonish, but through moments that verify. God says, I act in tranquility, not tension. I align your life when you're no longer rushing, but relaxing. Not because you've stopped dreaming, but because you've started trusting. And now, because your soul has learned to breathe again, I can commence sending what truly belongs to you. You know you're living in divine timing. When your choices feel clear, not chaotic. When you no longer chase signs, but flow. When the people around you seem nourishing, not draining, not because they've transformed, but because you've changed who you welcome near your peace. You don't rush towards every opportunity anymore. You pause, you sense, you ask, does this feel right in my spirit? And if the answer is no, you let it go. That's divine maturity, that's synchronization. That's undeniable proof that heaven is already at work within you. Archangel Michael stands by you, not as a harbinger of warning, but as a guardian. Admiring the marvelous, I watch you ascend gently, as your soul blossoms in places where you once felt misplaced. He respects your calmness. He rejoices in your progress without seeking recognition, applause, or perfection. The former you required guidance at every step. This new one trusts silence because it realizes peace is the language of the divine. You're living in divine timing when life seems to flow with you, not against you. You find the right words at opportune moments. You hear a tune that echoes your thoughts. You encounter someone who feels acquainted before any dialogue. You no longer regard these occurrences as coincidence. You call them what they truly are: alignment. Heaven gently touching earth in quiet nuances. God addressing prayers you'd forgotten you'd made in ways you never anticipated. And most delightfully, you're not hurrying the next chapter. You're not battling to force something to occur. Instead, you simply appear every day with an open heart and a yielded spirit because now you comprehend. You don't chase what is sacred, you create room for it to arrive. Gradually, tenderly it does. Answered prayers arrive with tranquility, not noise. The transition is easygoing. You don't feel swamped. You feel harmonized. The instant you stop pursuing, the exact thing you requested starts to reveal itself. Not boisterously, but with precision. God says, I didn't overlook your plea. I simply opted for a subtle approach to deliver it so you'd sense it, not tremble from it. You'll recognize its progression when your spirit no longer doubts. When tranquility replaces tension, when the correct opportunities come without force. Archangel Michael says, heaven didn't hasten, it prepared, and now it's commencing. Now that it's finally commencing, don't rush, don't question. Don't shrink back. You've waited, you've healed, you've matured, so let it evolve naturally. You don't have to earn what's already yours, just accept it with grace. God says, you're not venturing into fortune, you're venturing into alignment. Walk lightly, walk confidently. I've paved the way ahead. The suitable situations will feel secure, not stressful. You won't have to struggle to stand out. You won't have to plead to be selected. What's aligned won't bewilder you. It will comfort you. Archangel Michael says, don't overanalyze your blessing, embody it. You were designed for this moment. If you trust in God, type Amen. Subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching this God message. May God Jesus will grant you abundance in every aspect of your life. Type 222 if you agree.